Hello again, everyone. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn, bringing you another exciting episode of the Top Innovator Series here. This is where we dive into proven leadership ideas, game-changing strategies, and of course, the brilliant minds that are behind these ideas. I'm Joseph Martens, and I'm excited to introduce today's guest. With us today is Abhishek Sinha. Abhishek is the CEO and CIO of Nelumbium Capital, a company that leverages AI for asset management. Abhishek, it's a great pleasure having you here today.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you.
I would love to talk to you about your leadership journey, Abhishek. We touched on a couple of things in the pre-podcast chat already, but let's start maybe with some of the key takeaways or the key learnings that you had. When you think about your own career, very successful career, what do you think are some of the reasons that brought you to where you are today? What are the secret ingredients to the success that you've had?
Wow, this question was not
I can't give you the questions up front.
okay. Thank you, everyone who is for listening to me. I would say I went to a boarding school, and that school was special for it selected 100 people out of 30,000 who applied, and then all the
Whoa.
peer learning was very important. Like learned so much from my friends. They were like so peer learning was one of the biggest thing. Self-reliance was second, and I remember leadership from I was not that great with sports, but I always kind of saw people who were leading the team or making the how the different places to play and all that. So I was the leader for one event, which was poem elocution team, which we kind of competed with other teams,
Uh-huh.
and that leadership was very helpful. I saw that once you start thinking about the team, even no matter how small it can be anywhere. It can be on sports or for dramatics or anything. Once you have that little bit where you start thinking, okay, how will I lead the entire system? How my different constituents will work? That kind of stays with us from formative years. So
Yep.
one was that. The second one was I always told anybody whose mentor I was or in office or somewhere that always think about your position, not as a person, but as a position, which is basically that why is this position needed for the company, for them to
Okay.
pay somebody, anybody.
Okay.
And then you will understand how you fit into the entire system and how your assurance or your sign off or your sign off is needed
Yep.
in the entire picture. So I told everyone that you are leading your own company and your sign off is the sign off of that person's seal of authority or assurance. And you always have to kind of think that I'm giving my services to a bigger picture. And then you will know where do you fit. So these couple of things, I don't know, these are like very small, but
Yeah.
that helped me in understanding the entire like working of a lot of stuff. I will always kind of try to see that, okay, how does this fit into this? If somebody is gone, then can I do this? Can I learn this? So yeah, that's my way.
There were lots of nuggets in there now in what you shared, Abhishek. Let me just go through some of them. You started off by talking. So here are some things that I remember: peer learning, self-reliance, and focusing on the team. Right? They are the things we started off with. Let's take a look at peer learning. You mentioned the boarding school example. Let's talk about today. How do you learn from peers today? How do you select the peers that you're considering to be someone you want to learn from? How do you go about that? How talk more about
This
how
is
you?
this is very, very good question, Joseph. I will tell you. I before starting in the startup
Yep.
journey, I knew that sometimes we are a captive of our own success. If you have good success in school, college, job,
Mm-hmm.
everything else, starting as a startup is not easy because there will be a lots of no, and you have never learned how to hear a no, take a no. Because I was working, or a person is
Mm.
working in one role, your success rate is almost 100%, right? Any client coming to you convert, and then you start thinking that that's the real world, and you go in the real world, and there will be a lot of all that. So soft skills, picking up soft skill, listening to startup people or listening to leaders. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of some places VCs will come and they will kind of share these,
Mm-hmm.
basic ingredient how to kind of have your journey a little bit longer. And one of my friends, and she is very well known. She kind of does a lot of podcast and everything else. So without naming her, she said one thing which was like the cornerstone, which really helped me a lot, which was normalize rejection. So if you can normalize
Interesting.
rejection,
Okay.
it was so powerful that,
Okay.
okay, things do have, rejection. So normalize rejection. And once you normalize rejection, then
Mm-hmm.
you would see that you are a lot more powerful in any situation. And then normally in business case, when
Mm-hmm.
a client is saying a no, they're saying not this quarter or not this year. They're not saying no forever. Right. Their needs change, their all that changes. So you can always come back. You can always have like a ECRN saying that, okay, touch base with them next year or have a relationship with them or 5, 10 minutes talk with them. Right. So normalize rejection is one. The second one is what were we discussing? The second one is you are an average of the 5 people you talk to.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
everyone has like
Yeah.
in trading, we had like 50 counterparties, everything else, but 5 people whom you talk or converse about ideas. It's not
Yep.
about this trade or that trade. It's about ideas. So we kind of gravitate to our core circle. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to choose a core circle who is on an average smarter than you. You have to choose a course which is like which motivates you, whom you look up to. And as I told you that most of my learning was peer learning, then you also have something positive to kind of contribute to that group. These groups kind of keep you going. And so I would tell you that most of the times, uh, not a lot of you know your friends are your friends, that's fine, but
Yeah.
people who motivate you. So if you start selecting that group, not
Yep.
just for some benefit, but people who are like a little bit ahead of you or not lower than you, a little bit ahead of you in thought process or journey, and then you would see that all of a sudden you can see farther,
Yep.
just
Yep.
like standing on the shoulders of giants, right?
Yeah, I love that idea, right? Finding those few people who are ahead of you, right? And you also said smarter than you or more successful, right? Whatever it is. But then I'm wondering,
I will
of
tell
course,
you
right?
one more thing. Go ahead.
If the others are all ahead of me, why would they? And if they have the same selection criterion, why would they pick me and have me in the group?
I'll tell you this.
How do you do that? Mm?
This is beautiful. So, not a lot of time you are just asking for people who have more money or more power or
Uh
stuff.
huh.
They might be ahead in motivation. So I try to get like the one of the most motivated people out of college. So
Okay.
they keep me on toe, right? They learn so
Okay.
fast. So then my learning, at some point after 40, 45, the learning curve
Yep.
goes lower. You're not like on your toes and stuff. So those people also motivate me. So I always keep people
I love it.
who are
Mm-hmm.
like learning more than me, whose
Yep.
capability to ingest is a little bit higher. They're kind of reading more or something like that. So in that conversation, I can come with experience or I
Yep.
saw this, and I can kind of tell them the entire army doesn't walk on foot. Not all army is infantry. You will have like colonels and then majors and stuff. So you have to understand that now I'm kind of in a role where I can direct these people, but then they are the ones who are going to fight the entire
Yep.
war, and
Yeah.
they will motivate you. So it's not only about like thought leaders or something. Thought
Yeah.
leaders,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you want one or two thought leaders, but then you want people who are young people. They also motivate you a lot. Then
Yeah.
there are people who are young thinkers. So yeah, there are things which I can contribute and I can learn.
I like it, right? So it's not just a one-dimensional thing where we look just at one parameter, like you said, power, smartness, or money, whatever it is, right? But there's more, right? And we all have something to offer in that group. Now, it brings me to one obvious question. I'm going to ask you and see how it lands, right? So you're in that group now, Abhishek, right? And my question is, what do you want most to learn from that group? So the question really is, what's an area in your leadership where you feel like I could really level up here? I could grow here. I could learn something here. So what's the main learning you would get from your group of peers?
I think one of the biggest thing was understanding the importance of time, and then being flexible. So
Interesting. Okay.
one of the,
Interesting.
life is never one dimensional, right? So at one point you are trying to kind of grow as fast as possible,
Mm-hmm.
kind of get funding, get clients, get everything else. And the other side, that if you keep at it, at some point your product would get polished, you will become more coherent, things will start selling, and then you will create something which people are needed. In between, a lot of perseverance and flexibility is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Perseverance doesn't say that you should not change yourself, and you don't need to be inflexible. You need to kind of just
Mm-hmm.
think about it. You're headed in a direction, but you can do like course correction in between. Hey, you're
Mm-hmm.
headed in the right direction, but you can do a course correction. So I try to kind of learn from people. They need not to be in, just business or something. I learned from my biggest guide was my mom. So the company is named after my mom. So I kind of consider that, and the how much dedication people show towards something. So a lot of interpersonal skills you can pick up. Then you have people who are at tech.
Nice.
This Gen AI is changing every day,
Yeah.
right? So if you're not connected with professors, or if you're not connected with students who are looking for jobs or something, then you are lagging behind. Third
Yeah.
is, if you're not connected with the regulators, so you have got to be in there as well, then your client should think that you are their research product. So
Mm.
connecting with the client from a perspective that how are we going to grow? What are the things which matters to them? Can I tell like 1 minute story?
Go for it.
so,
Go for
so
it.
so what happened? What happened? I always wanted to be like in some kind of leadership position in some
Uh-huh.
government or something, right? And then when I started listening to all the debates, it was like, okay, I cannot do this. This is too much. And like on TV debates, people are just tearing each other apart. There's no middle ground or something. Then I thought, like, what can I do where my thought process of becoming a leader or something is completely met? So one was becoming a doctor, and that boat already sailed. The second one was whatever you are doing, try to understand your customer's problem. Other customers are also having the same problem. And once you let them know that you have their back and
Yep.
you are a solution or a leader for them, and then whenever regulator asks a question, they are going to back you up or something like that, then you start feeling that, okay, this need of representing something or doing something is also getting met if you align with the greater good of others.
Mm. Yep. Nice. That's a nice takeaway. I like it.
Thank you, thank you.
Let me ask about this group again because I'm fascinated by this group, this peer group that you mentioned, right?
Okay,
And we talk about
okay.
how would you assemble it? What kind of people would you look for? What, and you touched on some of it, right? Younger people, you talked about regulators, but give me sort of the ideal portfolio, the ideal mix, or the composition. That's the right word. The ideal composition of that group.
Okay, so I can just tell you from my own experience, right?
Okay.
There are always people whom you will attract, and there are always people whom you will admire. There will be people who might not think that you are in the same bracket,
Mm-hmm.
so they might not like start giving that much time, but
Yep.
their work itself will inspire you, right? So I try to get inspired by a lot of like books or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they have written or whatever is their
Mm-hmm.
write up, right? The second thing is, if you go and talk to a couple of professors who are at the cutting edge, they will always tell you so many things. So I never completed my PhD, by the way. So I always kind of I'm in touch with a lot of professors. I will kind of go every. I have one on Tuesdays. I will go and talk to them, and all
Okay.
the ideas they are
Okay.
having, the new papers they have read.
Yep.
You will see that you are just enriching so much just by listening to them, right? So much by just
Yep.
listening. How do you kind of create that group? I go to a lot of conferences, and then I kind of keep meeting people. And if you are genuine, good people will find you. Your circle will find you. So I have
Mm.
been like making new friends, and
Mm-hmm.
then they will also ask you a question like, "Hey, what should I do?" Then you can give your suggestion,
Mm.
and then your group will start growing. So uh, yeah, that's my method. Like, see, I'll give you an example. If you lose a key in sand on the beach, the way to find it is a magnet. So if you're the magnet, you'll find the key. No big deal. Right.
Okay.
So you'll attract people.
Okay, nice. Now let's take a look. So we've talked about the past of your journey, right? We looked at the factors that led to your success. I would love to take a look into the future with you now, and we'll look into a cloudy crystal ball. If I were to talk to you in 3 years' time, and we have a conversation then about leadership, what would be different, Abhishek, in 3 years? So what's the area where you think you're most likely going to take your next step in leadership? And I don't mean this in terms of position or company or title or anything like that. I mean this in terms of your own development.
Yeah, so I would tell you what happens. I think some Abraham Lincoln or somebody said this. Maybe I might be wrong, but somebody said that absolute power corrupts you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
anybody can, withstand adversity. So with leaders, what happens that the things which made you good or great, or your team
Mm-hmm.
followed you for that, that might, change with period of time. That once you are like making a lot of money or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
then you kind of start a few things kind of creep in. And I would not tell which leader does this, but some of the leaders have very flat organization structure, and all the 60 people are in a meeting, and they will have learnings on each other, which is
Okay.
like your fault or somebody else's fault. I make it a learning for everyone. I want to be very respectful to people. I mean, if that means like I have to have an organization where I cannot have the staff meeting every day, that's fine. But being respectful to people is an
Mm-hmm.
absolute must. I want to be a leader who's respectful to people. Second
Mm-hmm.
is there is a lot of inherent need at a lot of places. Once you just swap shoes, you want to take a mile in your customer's shoes where it hurts, or how the product is not good, or the product needs this. There is a continuous improvement. So any
Yeah.
problem is first finding the constraints, then a solution set, then kind of weaving a solution, and then optimizing. So customer success journey is forever. Like customer success journey is a continual process. So I love to be in that one. And I don't know. I mean, helping new students, because I'm here for after a lot of help from a lot of people.
Okay.
And many a times
Yeah.
communication is something you never know who will pick what, how will people get inspired. A lot of people of our age, they ask, why did you kind of leave a career A and why did you start? All that is already within you.
Mm-hmm.
And as Steve Jobs said, only looking backwards you can connect the dot. Listen to your own inner voice and never let the inner voice go, right? And then I would say constructing something is like a painting. We do one painting, maybe the next painting is waiting or something is waiting, right? And others can take care of this. So yeah, that's my answer.
That's a lovely analogy. I really like the painting analogy. Yeah. Let me ask you one
Thank you.
last question, and then we'll wrap it up, Abhishek. What's advice that you would give to a tech executive based on what you're seeing that many might do wrong? Something that you feel like you figured that out, you've got an aha moment or an insight. What advice would you give them?
See, I would say kind of continuous learning, like taking the, courses which all these universities are giving or something like that. Because many a times in tech, what happens, people say that with age, new guys are like getting more important, or new
Yeah.
CEOs who are like 20 something. But it's more about being current rather than being I mean, people who have experience plus they
Mm-hmm.
are ready to be current. I think that's like the biggest thing. Then you're able to see what is in future, and
Yeah.
what you can even like shape future a little bit, like which direction, because you already have a good company and everything else, right? So I would say being current is one of the biggest thing which I challenge myself with. And obviously, being a good leader is all about listening to your people and
Yeah.
all that goes there. But I'm trying to kind of say one challenge which I have for myself or others as well is staying current and staying in a place mentally where we are always thinking as a
Yeah.
entrepreneurial journey, right? Because
Yeah.
in tech, everything changes all the time.
Yeah.
I'll give you one example. Right now, people are thinking that Gen AI will take over everything. And anybody who has coded knows that Java 7 to Java 17, Java, this compatibility to that capability, that driver to this driver. Everyone knows that human beings are needed. It looks very
Yeah,
good, like, okay, you have a
yeah,
performance machine, but it takes a lot of, real, sense to kind of put things together for the,
yeah,
show to go on.
yeah. Got it. I really like the stay current, right? Because it's so tempting to become complacent and to feel like this is enough. I don't need to do anything new. Staying current. I love it.
And
Abhishek. Mhm.
learning from your juniors. Staying current is one method you can learn from,
Yeah.
listening to junior. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Many highlights and many nice things. I'll think back of what you shared here. I'll always remember the painting as the analogy and how to find keys on the sand and in the beach. Thank you so much. It's been a
Thank
real
you.
pleasure
Thank
having
you.
you here.
My
For
pleasure.
everyone
Thank
else,
you.
for everyone else out there, it's a wrap for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like us, to subscribe to us, and to come back for our next insights in the Top Innovator series. We'll see you next time, and until then, keep your brain cells active.